Hey, Raider Nation, how you guys doing today? And welcome to another great episode of the Unfiltered Truth. I'm your host, Phil Jones. Here with me is my special guest, Lance Goodman of NFL Exporters, NFL Analyst, and fantasy expert. So he's going to help us today with some of you guys. I know the whole COVID-19, some of the games had to be postponed with uh, Steelers and Titans and Patriots and Chiefs. So I know a lot of you guys are going to be wondering, like, damn, who should I start? Who should I sit? What's going to help me? We're going to go over that. And we're also going to be hitting on a little preview of Raiders and Bills. And then I will be back later today before the game starts so you guys can get updated on the inactive list, who's going to be starting, who's going to be sitting. So, Lance, glad for you to join me today. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed as always, man. I appreciate you having me on the Unfiltered Truth. Love the show name, and that's what I'm all about, facts and truth. So happy to be joining you today. And of course, shout out Raider Nation. It's football Sunday, man. I don't think any of us have anything to be complaining about.
No, not at all. And I want to apologize to the fans out here. Sorry for the delay, man, but I'm gonna tell you guys this: church comes first, man. So church ran a little over, so it's all good. I had to listen to the good Lord. I had to listen to the Word of God.
Amen. Nobody's gonna blame you for that.
Nah. So other than that, all right. So right now, looking at the Raiders going up against the Bills today, and Raiders are without Ruggs, Edwards, Damon Arnett, uh, another week without Trent Brown. Everybody's ready to hit the panic mode. I wouldn't suggest anybody even thinking of that right now. Raiders are still a 2-1 team. Yeah, they're going up against a 3-0 team, but it's all about strategy. And if you play the strategy right, if you know that, okay, we need to readjust this. And yeah, there are things that need to be readjusted on both sides of the ball, whether it's on defense or if it's on offense. And I'm going to say this. Defensively, if we go back to last week's game against the Patriots, first quarter, second quarter, things did not need to be readjusted. They were holding things down in the passing game, and they were holding things down in the running game. It was just like later second quarter, it started to break down. You have to understand, this is a team of complementary football. So when the offense is not doing their job, you're putting a lot on the defense. They got to go, it's got to be 50-50. You do your part, I do my part. And that's all it really is. And they got exposed offensively last week. Defensively, I noticed some key things on that D-line. I mean, everybody wants to jump and say that, yeah, you had missed tackles from your linebackers and all, but your D-lineman going against the backup center is getting decimated. Some folks want to put all the blame on Cleveland Farrell on the outside, but you need a linebacker in the middle that needs to be able to call what he's seeing. Your defensive coordinator sees it. Why is he not calling the audible for the defense? I mean, Lance, like, if you see this from a team like that, I mean, like, you would expect this, correct?
Yeah, it's very intriguing. I know Derek Carr has been in the league more than enough years by now that you would think that being able to work through his progressions, having familiarity where guys are at different points in the play. My thing, me and Phil had a chance to talk a little bit yesterday, and then me and Phil talked about this quite a bit last year. My thing is this, and I'll kind of tie into the Dwayne Haskins situation, not to get far off key, but words are coming out this morning from Adam Schefter that basically if Dwayne Haskins doesn't play well today, then he could be in jeopardy of losing his job, and ultimately the Redskins moving on from him. And my thing is they don't have any weapons. I mean, I don't know what you want this guy to do when he has a second-year wide receiver as his top receiver. Other than that, there's no weapons, and I allocate that over to Derek Carr for the simple fact, to me, it's one thing which, this year, if you look at the weapons that he has on the outside, as you mentioned, they lost Tyrell Williams for the season before the season started. He was the most seasoned guy, probably the guy who had the most seniority, and Derek Carr has some familiarity with. Henry Ruggs, they drafted him in the first round. Obviously, he's not been able to stay on the football field. You mentioned some of these other injuries. So for me, when I look at the Raiders' skill position guys at wide receiver, we know that Darren Waller is an absolute monster at tight end. But, the likes of Zay Jones, Renfro, some of these other guys are not top notch to me. However, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, those guys made a living. I know they're legends now, but when they originally got their names on the map, and I probably can push Aaron Rodgers to the side because he did have some good guys, and Greg Jennings and Jermichael Finley and Jordy Nelson, those guys. But when you look at Tom Brady and you look at Drew Brees, they're notorious for basically making something out of nobodies. I mean, Tom Brady.
I want to add on with that. You can even say Patrick Mahomes, because you look at one of the Chris Conley. What has Chris Conley done since he left Kansas City?
Absolutely. So, my point is, I don't think that the Raiders have elite or top tier weapons at wide receiver. However, when me and Phil talk, I'm hearing this from various sources coming from the Raiders camp as well. And Phil is telling me he's watching film and guys are open. So that's my issue. It's one thing if the quarterback doesn't have talent and guys are not getting open, and that's making it more complicated. But Phil is saying he's going back. He's watching film repeatedly enough over the last couple of years. And Derek Carr is constantly missing receivers who are open. And just so people understand, especially in the NFL, the windows are open for a blink of an eye. When you're playing quarterback, there's a lot of anticipation that goes into a lot of these routes. You really have to be right on it. A second late throwing a pass, can get intercepted or can get deflected. So to me, it sounds like Derek Carr is still having trouble being able to work through his progressions. And most importantly, drop back and find the open guy. And I mean, that's obviously going to be a major problem for this Raiders offense as it continues to move forward. If Derek Carr is going to be week after week missing guys who are wide open, I'd imagine the wide receivers will start growing frustrated as well.
No, absolutely. And, I go back and look at week 2 against the Saints. Early on, he had Waller open on one side. They actually ran trips. No, excuse me. They ran twins on one side, had Waller and Ruggs on one side, and Ruggs ended up beating 2 defenders. But later on in that game, he decided to slow it down, and he started finding everyone. And so when you're looking at that, I'm like, if you're able to slow it down, even when he still had pressure, it's no excuse in my opinion. But he's got to find a way today against this Bills defense. I'm going to be real. I looked at the Bills defense. This might have to be a game where we're going to have to rely heavy on the run. We're going to have to rely a little bit more on our running backs. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Booker, and a little bit of Jalen Richard, maybe in the little passing game. And they're going to be activating Theo Riddick, and I think Theo Riddick's going to be the main guy they use towards the they're going to line him out wide, using him like more of a passing receiving back.
Okay.
So we're going to see him. They've activated Keelan Dawes. It was a fan favorite for everybody last season, so we're going to be seeing him again. And that's the best thing about the way the practice squad works. Guys are still able to get a acquaintance with their starting quarterback or the backup quarterback or the number 3 quarterback. And Marcus Mariota's been reactivated again. So he's able to get work with all 3 of those quarterbacks. He's got it's year 2 under his belt. He should be good to go. I should see a little bit of Keelan Dawes a little bit involved today. I mean, he's not like blazing speed, but he has speed where he can be. I got to keep my eye on him. But other than that, I mean, really, they do have their hands full, but they need to come up with a creative game plan. But defensively, I'm going to tell you this. Raiders need to figure it out fast because Josh Allen is on a roll. Josh Allen is throwing 71% completion. This is something that we usually be talking about with Derek Carr. He's at 74, but you got Josh Allen at 71% right behind him. He's only thrown one interception all season. And to be honest, I don't even blame that interception on him. He has weapons. He has Stephon Diggs. He has John Brown. He has Cole Beasley, Croft, the tight end. And then you have Singletary, that's your running back / receiving back. And I'm going to say this. And, they still got Lee Smith. There's a lot of things right there. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I mean, and to be honest, and I know we're a little pressed for time today, but I definitely look forward to being a permanent fixture on the show and chopping it up. But to me, I mean, like, look, I'll be completely honest with you. The Raiders defense, I mean, that is just an area that just continues to struggle. And for me, in the bigger scheme of things, I always, the last couple of years, even this year, I always view the Raiders as a 7-9, 8-8 team for that simple fact right there. Defensively, they struggle. And I know they definitely did a nice job in free agency in the draft. A lot of things look good on paper. Now, granted, this is a different type of offseason where you didn't really have a chance to work with these guys like normal. But I think to me, as much as Derek Carr, can and is a lot of times a liability on offense, I think between Josh Jacobs, I do believe with Darren Waller, that offensive line is massive. Really got a chance to see it that Monday night game against New Orleans. You mentioned Trent Brown hasn't been able to be up yet. So I feel like there's pieces in place on offense, but defensively is the area for me where the Raiders really, really have to step it up and turn the corner, until they can, really solidify, some elite Pro Bowl caliber players on all three levels, even if it's one, somebody on that defensive line, somebody on that second level, and somebody in that secondary. They're always going to be, kind of a middle of the pack team because, the defense doesn't play consistently. And like you said, today, we'll definitely get a chance to see what they're made of. Like you said, you got Josh Allen coming in hot. Stephon Diggs has came in and really showed that he's, a guy who's amongst the top receivers in the NFL. That allows for John Brown to slide over to his natural position. The number 2 receiver allows for Cole Beasley to slide over to where he's more comfortable at the slot. So now Allen's got 3 reliable targets. And then the Bills defense has played well in spurts. I think the thing I'll be most interested in, Phil, to see how this one plays out, because Buffalo has been a first half team. If you look at what they did against the Jets, Week 2 against Miami, there was a lightning delay, but they were up 20-0 in that game. Miami was able to come back. Bills were able to hold on. And then last week, they got up 28-3 on the Rams and had to take a last-second, touchdown to win that game. So it'll be interesting to see if Buffalo's able to put a complete 60 minutes together. And I think the big thing we're all looking for here, Phil, another thing that you look for in winning traits and characteristics from teams, and I know that this is still very young in that John Gruden era, is being able to bounce back. When you lose a tough game on the road, you want to be able to come back home and rebound and get a W. So this is a very interesting matchup. Obviously, Buffalo is the favorite, but I think as we talked about Derek Carr, that defense, and I think this is where coaching comes into play. And Phil, you'll be able to speak to this even more. What type of leadership do the Raiders have in their locker room in terms of guys, not the coaching staff, but actual players who are vocal leaders? And those vocal leaders, a lot of times, Phil, guys don't respect them unless they've actually, won a Super Bowl or been to the playoffs a couple times. So I think this is a very big game for the Raiders, even though it's very early on in the season.
No, absolutely. I mean, you look at veteran presence that you have on that team. You look at guys like Richie Incognito. You look at Jason Witten being a presence. You look at, to be honest, some of the young guys have stepped up, like Josh Jacobs being that voice in the locker room. It's a few guys I can go on and so forth. And I'm telling you, and those are the leadership guys that you need. So, Lance, can you real quick, I know you can't stay on that long. Can you hit on everybody on who should start or sit for fantasy football this week?
Absolutely. So I'll run the gauntlet through. We'll start obviously with the home team, Oakland Raiders. Look, Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller, they're must starts every week. So don't ever take them out of your lineup. It does not matter what the matchup is. Outside of that right now, unfortunately, there aren't any Raiders that you can really trust. Depending on what type of league you're in, maybe two quarterbacks, salary cap. There's a ton of different fantasy leagues going on. Perhaps Derek Carr would be a guy that you would recommend, but that Bills defense is probably not the defense you want to face. Just some interesting things going on across the league right now when you talk about start sits. Just running down my list real quick. Injuries is the main thing. So you definitely want to understand right now that Chris Godwin, a wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's going to miss today. Devonta Adams, Julio Jones, both of those elite wide receivers play on Monday Night Football. So you may not get an official word on if those guys are going to be in the lineup until later on this afternoon. So it gets tricky, right? When it gets down to Monday Night Football, you really don't have time to sit around and wait to see if those guys are going to play. If they do play, both of those guys have hamstring injuries, which can flare up at any given point in time. I think Green Bay, especially if the game gets away from the Falcons, you can see Adams come out. So that's very risky. Michael Thomas is expected to be out again this week for the New Orleans Saints. Raheem Mostert is out again for the San Francisco 49ers. You talk about the Tennessee and Pittsburgh game being postponed. So there were a ton of fantasy guys in that game going. The NFL has just decided to call this a bye week for those guys. So they're going to be riding it out the rest of the way. It's going to be a similar situation. We're sitting on pins and needles waiting to get the official word for that Kansas City Patriots game. They want to push it to Tuesday night. We know that Cam Newton is not going to play in that football game. There's not a lot of Patriots with a ton of value right now, but obviously that hurts anybody on that team who could have done something. The way that that's going to work pretty much is if more players come up positive today, then that may be another game that needs to get postponed. Just running down my list today, I want to talk about a little bit about some promise. I know that a lot of fantasy owners out there had high hopes for Joe Mixon this year, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, has gotten off to a tough start. You knew the defenses were going to stack the box and try to force Joe Burrow to get things done through the air. Well, they finally have a favorable matchup. They're playing against that poor Jacksonville Jaguars defense. So, fantasy owners are going to be looking to see if Joe Mixon can finally have a worthwhile day. And then AJ Green, right? Even though he's lost a step, not as athletic as he was 3 to 5 years ago, he's still the number one target on that Cincinnati team. Perhaps, again, this is a matchup that he can take advantage of against that soft Jacksonville defense. Another team with some good fantasy players who have had an extremely tough. This is a matchup-based business. And so when you talk about the Houston Texans, week one playing a riled up Kansas City Chiefs team at home, their defense came back the following week against Baltimore's defense. And then last week on the road against Pittsburgh. Finally should be able to get things a little bit softer. They're at home today against Minnesota. So Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller, David Johnson, those guys should be good to go. Something else that we're looking at is Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he had a bad game on Monday Night Football. They're playing the Washington Redskins. So we expect for Baltimore's offense to get back on track today. The way it was working in fantasy drafts, if you were getting Lamar Jackson, you probably had to grab him in the second or third round, which caused you to have to sacrifice one of these elite running backs or wide receivers. So a lot of people, myself included, would like to see Lamar have a huge game. I'm struggling at the running back position. A lot of people are, because a lot of people who drafted Lamar Jackson grabbed Saquon Barkley in the first round. It's just kind of how the way the cards fell. So you need help at running back. If you have Lamar Jackson, you're hoping he has a huge day. Maybe get you another quarterback who can fill in, and we'll be shipping Lamar Jackson out and get some pieces to help your squad be a little bit more balanced. You take a look at what's going on today. Nick Chubb, right? Him and Kareem Hunt have been splitting the workload, and those guys have been doing a fantastic job. Hunt may miss today's game with a groin injury. He's banged up, that. So Chubb is probably going to get even more work today, and that's a great thing because he's a great fantasy start. The big thing we look for from Cleveland is, look, Baker Mayfield has a bad trend right now. He plays well against bad defenses, but against tough defenses, he struggles. And that is doing a lot of harm to Odell Beckham Jr., who's still individually one of the top wide receivers in the league, but his production is way down. Jarvis Landry, this guy, I don't even think he has, more than 60 yards in the game this year. So that's something else that we'll be looking out for today. Just real quick, Phil, because I know time's getting pressed. Some defenses that you may be interested in streaming or some strong plays this week. Los Angeles Rams. They're home this week against the lowly New York Giants. That's a nice stream for you. The Green Bay Packers at home on Monday Night Football, especially if Atlanta's without Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. Both of those guys are questionable. Real quick, you see my tag there. You can catch me on NFLexporter.com. That's NFLexporter.com. There's the home for NFL and fantasy football. Make sure that when you go to that website, all my social media links are there. Easy to access me. I actually do a show from 11:30 to 12:30 every Sunday. So I'll be running over there after this on Facebook Live. It's for fantasy football owners only. So I answer all your start-sit questions. And then I'm going to be a permanent fixture here with my man Phil on the Unfiltered Truth, talking Raiders football. And we'll have a special segment for you guys to ask your start-sit questions and get advice as well. So I just want to thank Phil again for having me on to the show. And I look forward to having a great season and talking Raiders football. I know this is very pivotal with the Raiders moving to Vegas. They want to get off to a good start, but yeah, I'm really anxious to see this game today.
No, absolutely. And now the game is, I don't know if anybody knew, the game is going to be on national TV because of the Patriots and Chiefs game being moved to Tuesday. We will be watching this game national. So
absolutely.
If anybody's worried about trying to catch the game, you should be able to catch it on CBS today. So this is good news. I know that it's hard for a lot of cats on the West Coast able to see it because they like to black out certain games. They like to play in favor of the Chargers. But nah, man, definitely good stuff, Lance. And next week we'll have the time straightened out and whatnot. I know everybody's going to be really amped and ready because we have Kansas City and we need to be ready for that game. And we just got to spit straight knowledge for next week. But Lance, I know you got to go. Appreciate you tuning in, joining me today. You take care, bro.
Okay, absolutely. You know I'll be catching up with you on Twitter later today.
All right, man.
Okay, peace. Have a great show.
All right, man. That was Mr. Lance Goodman. All right. So, yeah, I was outside earlier. I know you guys like, damn, weren't you just outside? I was like, look, it got cold as shit out there. All right. Shit. I'm on the East Coast. It's getting colder out here. I can't do that all the time. But, yeah, like I said, the Raiders defense, this is a game where I'm going to say this. Maurice Hurst needs to start. I need to see Hurst. I need to see possibly Hankins out there today. I need to see Crosby. And I need to see a mix-up. Excuse me. I need to see a mix-up between Farrell and Nassib out there. I would say, now, Matt, you said more Arden Key. Arden Key has yet to register a tackle this season. We're going to the fourth game of the season, and he cannot register a tackle. Excuse me. And that's a problem. That is seriously a problem where I'm not seeing my edge rusher not being able to get to the quarterback. But the other thing is secondary. No Damon Arnett. We're going to be seeing Nevin Lawson. We're going to see some Keyshawn Nixon, maybe Isaiah Johnson. Everybody got all hyped over Mick Robertson, but he's questionable with an illness. And I'm like, damn, this man been waiting to start or play the entire season, and then you get hit with an illness. This literally does suck. Nobody can register a sack, but he definitely puts pressure. I mean, yeah, that's true. But I'm saying, like, he's out there on run support on some of those screens. I mean, yeah, he did get back there to break up a screen where he could have picked it off, but not being able to register a tackle on your side of the ball, you know, that's a problem in my playbook. That's a problem. Like at least a half assisted tackle. I haven't even seen that. But yeah, these guys, you're right. They got to get healthy. They have to get healthy out here going forward, especially with the bye. They're like 2 weeks away from the bye week. So that should be the main thing. Raiders have to find a way to get this together now. Or, you know what? I say this. Go on and get rid of Paul Gunther right now, because they have the correct guys, but these guys are not in the correct position. I'm still seeing guys out of place. You're asking Littleton to do more than what he usually does. And you can go back and look when he was with the Rams. So when you're seeing that, and you hear what he's saying, like at the presser, he's like, well, you know, whatever I'm, asked to play to do, I'm just doing that. So to be honest, what he's being asked to play to do, that comes from your defensive coordinator. And hey, our defensive coordinator looks like he's doing the same thing again. It looks like he's second guessing what he should be doing. I got a weird feeling that Paul Gunther is going back and doing what he did back in year 1 and year 2. I'm going to call this play, but no, we're not going to do this play. We're going to change that play. We're going to just go with a basic zone, knowing that you should have blitzed on that play. And I'm going to say this, Eric Harris, Lord, this man knows how to hit the wrong hole. His vision has not been on point lately. And like, I'm a big fan of Eric Harris, a hard worker. He did everything possible to try to make his game better. But I mean, right now, his vision is just not there. But there's about a 80% chance Nick Kwiatkowski will be playing today. That should be a big help. I'm just going to say this. Having him out there, that makes a total difference. And I feel that you can have him out there in the passing game as well. I noticed a couple plays back from that week 1 game when he was out in coverage, he was pretty good. I don't know why they want to keep going back and forth with Nicholas Morrow, but having Kwiatkowski out there, that is a solid, and I think the Raiders need to continue to have that out there while he's healthy. You also look the emergence of Raekwon McMillan. We need to see him a little bit more out there. And then they're going to have Tanner Muse back, I think, probably, next week? I think he should be activated next week off the little IR. So he should be ready to go. Or they might just wait until after the bye. Who knows? But, I like this. I love this. Littleton with the interception today. You know what? Yes. And like Lance was saying earlier, a lot of the scores for the Bills came in the first half. Second half, they end up giving the game away. So I'm going to say this. If the Raiders can find a way to slow them down in the first half, and the Raiders can get away to scoring in the first half and second half, They have a chance. The key here is this. And, I said it last week. Derek Carr is going to have to throw deep, but the running game is also a main key in this game. They're not that great in run support. And if I'm right, I think I actually think Ed Oliver might be out this week. Let me see. He might just be out. Let me see. 1 second. Well, you know what? No, he didn't practice. He practiced one day, then was off, and then was limited. So we'll find out if he's going to be inactive today. I'll be back on this afternoon. So, yeah, a lot of craziness this morning. But, yeah, literally, if he's out, then that's going to be key for that defense. Run it right up the middle. And as I said earlier, Raiders are going to have to utilize their running backs. You're probably going to have to line up some of them out wide a couple of times. But the key here is run Josh Jacobs up the middle, use Devontae Booker. He can stretch to the outside as well, and go deep. Raiders need to go deep. It's not Raiders need to go looking for 5-yard passes. They need to look and go for the big one. You still have guys that have speed. You got Nelson Aguilar. You got Zay Jones that still has speed. You still got Hunter Renfrow. You got Keelan Dawes. Basically, you're going up with a lineup that you ran with last year. So there's no excuse. You have familiarity with these guys. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, we don't have a speedster like Henry Ruggs. We don't have a speed. We don't have Edwards. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They are still weapons, and you still have Darren Waller out there. You still have Foster Moreau. Shit, even the old man Jason Witten. You still have pieces out there that can you can still get the ball around. It's not a problem. You have guys that you can get the ball around to. And if you're not looking at that, then, you're going to have a problem. So you lose two weapons, Ruggs and Edwards, but those were rookies. I'm going to be real. When you didn't have Josh Jacobs, that's where it was hurting at. Running with two small running backs, and, that was a hot mess. You're not running with two small running backs now. If you could win with Jacobs when he was out there, you can do it now. You got a better backup running back, because if you really pay attention to Devontae Booker, I honestly feel that we should be getting him more reps just to take that ease off of Josh Jacobs. And then you still have your fullback. You look at what your fullback did last week, leaping over people. So start utilizing them more. It's not that hard. Do it. Do it right away. And I'm going to tell you this. The Raiders might be able to find a certain flow. So, no excuses. I say this one more time, going back to the defense. Malik Collins needs to step the hell up. Mo Hurst should be seeing more playing time than what he should be getting. And especially Carl Nassib should be seeing more playing time than what he should be seeing. Because only 20 snaps, that ain't cutting it. I should be seeing him more than Jonathan Hankins. I should be seeing him more than Malik Collins. You know, Malik Collins, for a guy that's weighing about 308, you know, why is he not playing the zero technique? Let him play that. He can stop up the middle. And then you have Maurice Hurst on the opposite side crashing in. Switch it up. They can do that. But they choose not to. And that's what's going to be Paul Guenther's downfall. Not putting guys in the right position. And when you're not putting guys in the right position, you know what? Hey, you're fired. I need to see them. I need to see these guys more together at the same time on the field. And another thing, you know what? Switch up Crosby and Farrell. Switch them up. Get them in there and switch it up. Last week, when they switched up Farrell and Crosby, there was success. Why are you not doing it? Why are you not staying continued with these certain things? It's like you do it once and then afterwards you get all lethargic in your coaching strategy. It's not that hard. If it's working the entire time, run it, because it's making it difficult for offensive linemen to try to figure out, like, damn, who am I going to deal with? I'm dealing with this speed. I'm dealing with that speed. I'm dealing with this strength, that strength. He has that move. He's going to go inside, outside. You're causing confusion. You can't just go with, okay, this is my first rotation. This is my second rotation. You sound like a fucking robot. My God, Paul Guenther, get your shit together or you will be gone. You are on the hot seat this year. This is frustrating. It's frustrating for fans to see. It's frustrating for the players, I bet. I bet you the players are to a point where they about had enough. And it's going to end up coming down to where you're going to have Rob Marinelli end up taking over. Because let's be real here. They ain't bringing Rob Marinelli just to be the D-line coach. They brought him in for Paul Guenther F's up. And right now, your defense is sitting near dead last in the run. Pass defense looks surprisingly good because you got Jonathan Abrams out there. And for the love of God, please keep him healthy. But seriously, this is it's frustrating, it's draining. And you got a guy out there that's going to be starting who has yet to record any interception. Maybe this might be his game that he finally gets an interception. And I'm talking about Nevin Lawson. So, in all honesty, these guys are trying to buy into what Paul Guenther has. See, the offense, they're all in. I think everybody, I'll put it like this. Everybody's all in with what John Gruden is selling. The defense, I don't think they're all in on what Guenther is selling. And I see that starting to become a problem. So we need to find out whether or not the Raiders are going to get this together or, give them the pink slip. Because, I you know what, Kev, you said it's there. Littleton is frustrated. If you've seen his comments, I absolutely. I just hit on it. Corey Littleton is frustrated. And damn, y'all, you guys, that's why I love you guys. You guys are smart. You is kind. You is important to me. I mess with y'all. But can our guys wrap up and get guys to the ground today? That is key. I will say Paul Guenther is right on one thing. You got 19 missed tackles. Shit. That don't make no damn sense. So, take a deep breath, you guys. The Raiders have to get this together. And if they don't get this together, then you're sitting at 2-2. Yeah, PG. Yeah, Paul Gunther. He does suck. Hey, real quick, because like I said, I will be back at 3:00 for the pregame show, and then I'll be back for our postgame show. But I got to give a huge shout out to Big Jim for the mask. I love it. I appreciate it, bro. This mask is killer. I'm about to throw this bad boy on real quick. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I love this mask, bro. Hey, Big Jim, appreciate it, bro. All love, man. This mask is, damn, I wish we had some games this year. I would rock this out. I'm going to be rocking it out at home for today's game. But other than that, hey, I'm not going to hold anybody on too long today. There's some other things. I'm jumping on a few other shows. Give my morning show talk to the Washington football team. That should be fun. But other than that, hey, you guys can recap the show. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook, IE Sports Radio page. It'll be on Periscope, on Twitter. I'm going to wrap up a little early today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry for the technical difficulties from early on, but hey, it's Sunday. I'll be back later on this afternoon, and I will keep you guys informed. So you guys take care. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your morning, and it is Football Sunday.